Alrighty, Game Cooker US Rocks VR here. Alright, so I'm back finally, getting to the last part of this whole video thing I'm doing, which I guess for most people was long and boring. But again, I like to show proof of what I do rather than just take my word for it and paste a couple charts up, you know. I understand everybody's doesn't like to think too long these days, and I totally get it. But again, I'm the type of person that likes a little more than just trusting the word of somebody else. So anyway, the thing that kicked off this whole video was this here. NVIDIA, saying, hey, new 16 series laptops are out. Well, specifically, this particular thing says 1660 Ti. So we all know that the sorry if this is too loud. We already know the 1660 Ti is a fantastic card for the price. Some people might argue that NVIDIA cards are still too expensive, but whatever. That's a whole nother story. I don't really think it is. But I think that they're giving you performance that AMD just is not. So, what are you going to do? It's like saying, well, oh, Corvettes are too expensive, so I'm not buying one because the price per performance is just ridiculous. Okay, well, you can go ahead and enjoy your Prius or, Mitsubishi Outlander Sport or, whatever lesser cost car there is out there. It's kind of irrelevant because if you want higher performance, you're going to pay for it. If you have the money to spend, you're going to go ahead and spend it. So the whole price per performance thing to me doesn't make any sense. It only makes sense when the competitor has something equivalent to what you have. You know what I'm saying? I don't really care if an RX 570 is a better value price per performance if I don't even care about it. That kind of performance. Because I don't do 1080p gaming anymore. So, I do it on this laptop because I don't have a choice. Although I can do 1440 on this laptop as well because the pixel density in this laptop is pretty good, so I can actually up the resolution. But I don't really game on this laptop anyway, so that's probably still irrelevant to this argument. I only bought this for basically when I stream, that way I can see people chatting, which still doesn't really help me too much because I always miss their messages anyway. So anyway, I saw this pop up when I was installing the drivers, and I figured, well, let me check out these new 1660 Ti gaming laptops. And the other thing that I seen too was that Intel also has their new laptop chips out, which is based on the 9900K series chip. If I said that right. So I'm thinking, wow, 8 cores, 16 threads in a laptop? Geez, I should have waited a year. But let's continue. So I clicked on Shop All, and I figured, well, let me see what everybody's got, And just in case you don't know what the 1660 Ti has. Now this is the, I don't know if they have a Founders Edition or not. I don't think they do. But this is the starting specs. It's touring, of course, boost clock 1335 to 1590, 16 gigabytes of GDDR6, and memory bandwidth is 12 gigabits per second. And if you want to look at the full specs, it's got 192-bit bus. Memory bandwidth is 288 gigabits per second, which is actually pretty decent. You know, and all this other stuff, Ansel and G-Sync and blah blah blah. I mean, that's just all kind of standard stuff now. VR ready, yes. It doesn't have the Type C virtual link port though, and it does have the new Turing NVIDIA NVENC encoder, which helps you get better streaming, you know, uh, quality and capability, smoother and better quality. So yeah, so that's kind of where it starts. Now the third-party manufacturers who make the video cards can play with these numbers. You know, it's got 1536 CUDA cores. So yeah, so that's basically it. So most reviewers out there, even though, you know, again, take them even for a grain of salt, because sometimes you'll get different results depending on what card you buy. They like this card for the most part. It's a good value, good performance for the money. So I'm going to go show you a couple laptops. So what I'm doing is kind of basing it on this one. So I have this one. I bought it last year for $999, and apparently Micro Center is still selling them at this price. So that's not bad, and the reviews were good. You know, I can just kind of show you what some of the reviewers said here. Micro Center's kind of a pain here. Let's see, read all 93 reviews. Well, I'm not going to read all 93, but we're going to sort by newest. So as you can see, even the people here, there's no way to, I don't think, find out like authentic buyers here. So I can't really. Staff reviews, top contributors. No, it doesn't really have the verified buyer. So anyway, but as you can see here, oops, what the heck happened there? Oh, I didn't have it maximized. No wonder it was so small. Let's put this up a little bit bigger here. Screaming Machine, great buy for non-gamers, although I'm not sure what that means. It's also a great buy for gamers. This one, Screaming Machine, especially for $999. Its specs rival a MacBook Pro over twice the price. All the latest whiz-bang connectors features, except for the virtual link. 1080p, let's see here. Along with an LG 32-inch 4K monitor and its desktop control software, I have a 1080p Windows Monitor Plus, the native, on the laptop for a total of 5 1080p monitors. That's kind of weird. I don't know what he's trying to do there. No, I'm not a gamer, but I like the horsepower of gamer computers. So, okay, I'm not really sure what that meant. Very fast, great keyboard. Yeah, the keyboard is comfortable to me. I don't have big hands, so maybe it could be a problem. I'm not sure. The machine has basically replaced my desktop, as it has speed and ease of use of full desktop. It came with last year's Windows 10 version and required numerous updates, but the HP Assistant together with Windows Update handled the heavy lifting because the Omen is so fast that updates went quickly. From being off to ready to log in takes about 20 seconds. Yeah, it does boot up pretty fast, depending on how you have it set up. Like me, I had my laptop hooked up to my 55-inch 4K television, so what I did in the Windows is said I don't want to like duplicate the desktop. I only want it to show on my TV. So whenever I unplug the TV from the laptop and turn my laptop on, I have to like turn it on and it just sits there with the HP Omen symbol. So you have to kind of turn it off again, then turn it back on again, then it detects that it's not connected to the TV anymore. Because I guess it wants you to turn the TV on, I suppose. But if you're not doing any of that kind of stuff, hooking this up to another monitor, it boots up pretty fast, you know. So these are all the most recent, which should be good. I always like looking at the most recent because that's probably more relevant than looking at a 1-year-old review. Because obviously people are using this thing to play more modern games, most likely. This is a great gaming laptop that can play most games on the best setting, plus its great price. Now, again, that's relative. It depends on what you think the best settings are. But again, I do agree. It's a very good gaming laptop. You can literally use it as a desktop. If you can tolerate the fan noise and, the higher temperatures, which are not detrimental to, at least in my opinion, to the overall package. You're going to have some trade-offs, but I don't really look at them as complaints. It's a laptop is very hard to cool, especially when it's got these kinds of specs going on. So this one says here, this product is really fast, great performance, and big store. I'm assuming when he says big store, he's talking about the 1 terabyte hard drive and the 256 Windows drive. Here it says, I use this laptop for software development and to DJ. The power is awesome. I also like the 2 hard drives since I run DJ software from the SSD and store all the music files on the second drive. No more external USB hard drives to carry. This is a great value laptop. Great computer for VR almost. Well, I kind of disagree with that one, but let's see what he has to say first. This is perfect for Oculus Rift. I have had 0 performance issues and it runs like a dream. The only thing I wish it has was one additional USB 3 port for the optional 3 sensor for the Oculus system. It wouldn't hurt if it had an additional HDMI port for the TV display as well. But the mini display port works just fine. Yeah, what does he mean by that? Oh, okay. To hook it up to a TV. Yeah, I mean, again, that's all like relative to people's needs. I mean, it's got 3 USB ports, 2 on the side and 1 on the back. And I mean, if you really need extra USB ports, just buy an adapter. They only cost a few bucks. But you do have the HDMI and the mini component, or not component. Jesus, I got a mental block. DisplayPort, mini DisplayPort, which he said here, as well. So you can DisplayPort out and go to a TV. So for instance, oh well, see, he's talking about Oculus Rift. The Vive Pro uses a DisplayPort, so it really wouldn't be an issue using the Vive, because the Vive will use a DisplayPort adapter plug. So just buy a DisplayPort to HDMI out, and you should be able to have 2 video outputs. And this also has the, sorry, I believe it's got the what do you call that? The USB 3, or whatever they're called. It's this thing. It's got that in the back too. So you can fast charge devices. And I guess this is what the VR plugs into too. Is that what they're talking about? I don't know. Anyway, so if you need to fast charge your phones or something, you can use that. So I'm not going to go too far here. These are all the recent ones, so I always look at the most recent because that's the ones that are going to be most valid because you got all the Windows updates and everything, blah blah blah. Excellent laptop for gaming or any use. So to start off, I got a heck of a deal on my original purchase, which turned into an even better one. I picked up an open box deal for $8.99. I'm not sure why anybody would want to return it. I figured why not give it a shot. Well, all in all, it didn't turn out very well because that one kept freezing, but when it did work, it was very nice. Fast forward to getting a different one. I called in and explained my situation to the tech, and he got approval from a manager to exchange my malfunctioning laptop for a new inbox version at no cost. Look at that. So needless to say, no problem since I got one heck of a deal. This model laptop as a whole can't be beat even at the original $999 price tag in comparison to the other laptop companies and models with similar specs. The closest you will find is a $1,200 laptop that still might not compete. To conclude, I am very satisfied with the laptop and the customer service they provided at Micro Center in Columbus. Yeah, Micro Center is pretty good. They don't really treat their customers too badly. So, you know, if we want to go to like page 4, which is like September 1st, 2018. Alright, and this is really the last one I'm going to do. So this one gave it a 4 out of 5. Hard to argue the price. I bought this because of its specs and its price point. Hard to argue. Pros. So we're going to go over some cons here he has here, which is kind of weird. I bought this because of its specs and its price point. Hard to argue. Pros. Best specs you'll find for its price. I agree. Solid construction. I agree. Minimal bezel makes it pretty sleek. Yes. I agree. Simple enough to rip the bottom off for various upgrade stuff. It's, well, he's he's talking about it's easy to take apart so you can put another hard drive in or upgrade your existing stuff. RGB lighting is pretty good. Yeah, I don't mind it. It helps when I'm in the dark. That's for sure. Keyboard itself is decent. A little cramped, but again, that's relative to the size of your hands and whatnot. You know, I don't really use the mouse. I use an external mouse, so I don't have to worry about it too much. You know, if you lean your hand on the trackpad, though, that could be a problem. But it's, for me, it's fine. You just have to be high enough up, that's all. Let me see here. Light enough for what it's made for. So this isn't the lightest laptop, but it's not big, so it's easy to carry. You know, yeah, I don't know how many pounds it is. I don't really care. I don't know why people worry about that. I mean, Jesus, what are you, a little kid? You know, so I already showed you my hand on it in one of my other videos, so you can see it's not very big at all. So it's not that heavy. Decent battery life if you don't game. Average battery life if you do. Well, there's somebody giving you their opinion on the battery life, so it pretty much turned out the way that I suspected by his assessment. You know, gaming, it's gonna, you know, suck it up pretty fast. So average is fine. Very good NVMe drive, and that was a plus for me. M.2 drive, that's awesome. 256 was actually better than a lot of people were giving last year. So I prefer 512 now would be nice. So trackpad, you know, he already said that, blah blah blah. You know, that's, I'm not even gonna, I'm skipping that because that's all relative to people. I don't have a problem with it. So here you go. Cons. Got to install a BIOS update, otherwise your idle temps are in low 50 degrees Celsius range and it gets a little spicier than I'd like under load. It's much better after the BIOS update. So again, that depends on your experience with laptops and hardware. This laptop, even though it seems like the temperatures are high, they're within normal for a laptop, for a gaming laptop. Okay, not for a piece of junk laptop. But for a gaming laptop, this thing is running fine. The temperatures are going to get hot, especially if you're gaming, you know. So that's to be expected. You're not going to get a cool laptop that's a gaming laptop. unless it's like a big honk thing that's got, turbo fans, that you're going to pay $2,500 for. I mean, that's just the way it is. Um, and as far as doing BIOS updates, I'm happy they do that. That's not a con at all. Um, in fact, HP did quite a few updates on the laptop, which I was actually pleased with, because laptops usually don't get a lot of love. I mean, look at how long AMD takes to update their laptops. It's ridiculous. People got to wait a whole freaking year. I bought this. I don't know. I forget what I showed on here. If I did, maybe I didn't show it on here. But I got it like around last May, June, something like that, when they first came out. And I don't know. I got at least 3 to 5 updates since then. Intel, I had some Intel updates to do. I had some BIOS updates to do. I had some HP software, mainly the utility software, not the. There's no real like bloatware on here that I was really unhappy with. They kind of kept the software that came with to a minimum, which was basically your HP Omen software. So they've been doing pretty well with keeping the updates going on those, which I'm happy with. So yeah, nothing really that's detrimental. I mean, I think they've been doing very well. Now it says here the HP Omen Control Center is a joke. Aside from changing the lighting on the keyboard, it does nothing of value. The hardware monitor does its job better. We would have liked to have seen a CPU boost mode or adjustable stuff in there instead of just temperatures. Maybe. I mean, like I said, if I go with my CPU Z right now, right? Let's load this up. my processor is running at 3889. 3800 megahertz. So why would you need to boost it anymore or overclock it? I mean, I think that would just be detrimental to the whole purpose of having the laptop as it is. Now, again, I think I did tweak this somehow, and I don't remember how, to get it to run at 3800 all the time. So it is possible, but I don't remember how I did it. So I apologize for that. But here I'm showing you proof, I don't know if you can even see it, that it's running at 3800 megahertz constantly. So there you have it, So there's really no reason to mess with the boost clocks or anything like that. At least in my opinion. I think it's a better idea that they didn't put all that overclocking crap in here, because then you're going to have people that don't know what they're doing going, oh, let me speed up my computer a little bit more, and then they end up bricking it, and then have to waste time sending it back or fighting about getting it covered and all that other stuff. So, yeah, I don't think it's really necessary on this kind of a laptop because it's not meant to be overclocked. I'm not saying that you can't or that you shouldn't, but I'm saying people that don't know what they're doing shouldn't, So I think it's better that they did what they did. Now, I don't know if I can show you much here, but you can still download the Intel Extreme tuning utility and I think play with things that way. But again, I don't recommend doing that unless you absolutely know what you're doing. What else do we have here? But again, the HP Omen software is not really getting in the way of things. It's there. It always comes on. But I haven't seen it interrupt my situation at all. So Okay, so here, blah, blah, blah. Would have liked dedicated media keys or at least dedicated volume keys, which they do have. But I'm assuming he's talking about ones that are by themselves and only those by themselves. But you can't see here in the video, but the F6 and F7 key are the volume keys. So, and F8 and F9, or excuse me, F8, F10 is fast forward and rewind, and F9 is play and pause, F5 is mute. So every F key has a function other than F1, F2, F3, F4. All you got to do is just hit, I believe, function. Can't. Yeah, so. Yeah, if you hit the function key, then you'll be able to access the sound. Yeah, I guess it's kind of annoying, maybe. They could be separate, but, you know, again, that's not really a con in my opinion. How many keys you want on your laptop? I mean, that's just going to add more clutter, you know? So again, I guess that's a relative to every individual's preference, but to me, that's not a con. Screen is just average. I'm not really sure why they're saying that, you know? Yes, it's not a shiny screen, but that cuts down on glare. Like, I have no glare on the screen. I have the sun shining in the back, as you can see in the video. Very bright in the back there. Now on my TV right in front of me, I can see the window very clearly. But here I can't see the window hardly at all. I mean, yeah, there's like a faint kind of very like washed out image of the window, but that's only if I go on an angle to kind of get it to show. But when I'm looking straight at the screen, there's nothing hampering my view here at all. So yeah, I don't know why. And again, the pixel density is fantastic. I mean, these pixels are very small. So I mean, they're cramming a lot of pixels on this little screen here. So, and the colors are fine, so I don't know exactly what the problem is there. All my games look fine. He said there's a load of bloatware on this, and I'm not exactly sure what he's talking about here. Because this is what bloatware. Let me look. Like this feedback hub might have been on there. I don't know what that is, but that's not bothering me at all because it never comes up or anything. Groove music, I guess, was on here, but again, that doesn't come up at all. It doesn't pop up and tell me to do anything. It's totally like dormant. So that's not even a bother. So it's just an application that's there, but it doesn't bother me at all. So I don't understand what the deal is. Here's the audio control, which most people would want. So I don't see why that's a big deal. HP Support Assistant. Well, why not have it? If you have a question, you can just ask a virtual agent or get in touch with somebody. So I don't really consider that bloatware. Because again, there's a lot of people that don't know a lot about computers that might buy this. And again, all this stuff, none of this is bothering me, so it's not really a big deal, and it's not taking up much space. Now McAfee was annoying. You know, it was kind of asking if I wanted to install McAfee. But I went ahead and subscribed to it anyway because I got a good deal on it. So I'm able to like cover all my machines. What else here? Minecraft is pre-installed. Solitaire is pre-installed. Mixed Reality Portal is pre-installed with Windows, of course. That's all Windows junk. Office, that's just a trial version. You can uninstall that if you want. Paint, all this is just Windows junk. Yeah, so there really isn't much on here that I would consider really like bloatware. Visual Studio installer, I'm not sure what that is. Yeah, I mean, most of the stuff is what comes with Windows anyway, so I don't really understand the bloatware issue. And all these, half of this I installed, so it's not even a big deal. I don't know what this mobile plans is. But again, none of this ever bothered me. The only thing that comes up is the down here, the HP assistant, support assistant. You know, which basically just alerts me to updates that I need done. Which actually, in a way, I'm not really too upset about, because we already know that nowadays, especially with this LED crap on here, the RPG or RGB stuff, sorry, you need to keep that stuff updated because hackers can use that, you know. So yeah, I'm not really that concerned about this stuff here. So it tells you stuff, a printer added, firewall, you know, that's actually enabled. That's just done through McAfee. This thing keeps coming up though, this virtual agent. I don't know why. I guess that's just kind of like a constant reminder that it's there if you need it. Yeah, so none of this, you can just like delete that message, remove, you know, so then they're gone. Boom. But again, it being there isn't bothering me because it's not like annoying me with constant messages. And if it is, you can change it in the settings. Not really a big deal. So if you want to look at this thing that I guess he was talking about, the HP Control Center. Actually that's my printer. Where is it? Okay, well anyway, you can click down here, the Omen symbol here. So yeah, I would say that this is very minimal bloatware, if that's what you want to call it. So here's the command center. And he might be, you know, I kind of agree with him. I don't really use this much. I only use it for the lighting, you know, because for some reason sometimes the lighting comes off, it turns off automatically. So if you hit apply, the lighting will come right back on. Now they do have these other things you can change, like put it on comfort, which will keep it, lowers the CPU and GPU temperatures. So that might be when it underclocks it. So I might have just put it on here, and that's why it's keeping it at 3800 megahertz. Default is like, you know, a mix of tasks, you know, if you're just doing basic with some video editing or gaming. I have mine on performance all the time, so it, you know, is always running at higher clock speeds, I guess, higher temperatures. So not really a big deal to me. You can use a network booster if you want, which I don't. System vitals, you know. It's using almost 6 gigs of memory right now. GPU is at 33%, running at 48 degrees, not bad. CPU's running at 6% usage. You know, average too, it keeps changing. 58 degrees, which isn't bad, you know. It could be lower, I guess, but I have it on performance, so. So yeah, so you can probably quiet it down a little bit more if you want. And then this game stream thing, which I don't use, I'm not sure exactly about that. That's for like streaming to your TV or something. Over the Wi-Fi, I guess. So I didn't bother using that. So you can just close this out. So yeah, it's not really like a bother. It just sits there. It doesn't remind you or anything. I mean, I don't know what this thing is. This HP Jumpstart. So I'm not going to click it right now. Yeah, so anyway, on that note, I don't really think there's a lot of bloatware on this. I think it's just you're buying an HP laptop and they're giving you the free tools that come with it. So yeah, so some people were talking about the noise in the fans again, but whatever. I mean, come on. Back in August, awesome, powerful, cheap. This thing rocks. I got an open box for $8.99. Okay, well that's probably the same guy. Such a great laptop. Bought this for hardcore gaming and VM usage, and it absolutely kicks butt. Compare for the money, you won't find a better laptop, and I have to agree with that. I read all the reviews, watched a bunch of videos, checked all the benchmarks, and I have to say, Omen lived up to my expectations without delivering any negatives that actually matter to me. I wouldn't already have strongly recommended this item to others. Overall good buy, great specs, okay display. I'm not sure why people keep saying that, and okay battery. I'm assuming people are saying that they're not that fond of the display because of the size, 15 inches, 15 point whatever it is, 9 inches or whatever, 15.6. And maybe the refresh rate, that it's not 144 hertz, but who cares? You know, it's like, come on. You're going to really... I can't even imagine somebody competitively gaming on this thing. But I guess people like small screens. I already stated that this screen is much smaller than I really want. Because my eyesight's just not very good anymore when reading small stuff. But again, if I'm just using this for casual gaming or just, you know, when I'm live streaming and looking at the chat, it's fine, you know. And the screen looks clear. It's clear. It looks beautiful in gaming. So, let's see here. Yeah, so this guy here is saying that well, here this guy's saying color accuracy is not acceptable for photo work. So, you know, I mean, I don't know what that means. Maybe it doesn't display enough colors, you know, for doing professional photo shop work, and that may be true, but for gaming, I don't know, it seems to be perfectly fine. And all the pictures that I look at look beautiful. So I don't exactly know what they're talking about. It seems to be fine for me, and I take 4K pictures, you know, when I go out or take pictures of my family, and they all look crystal clear to me, and you know, beautiful colors. So again, I don't know too much about what they're trying to achieve there. I won't argue with him because he's obviously a professional. Now here it says if you want to control thermals further, which again I don't really care about the thermals, but you can download the Intel Extreme Utility, which I told you you can do before. You can undervolt the CPU. And he said he undervolted it and got a bump in Cinebench. But see, that has nothing to do with thermals. Cinebench has nothing to do with thermals, so I don't even know why he even mentioned those two together. So here he's saying there's no way to change the drives from AHCI from RAID in the BIOS. So yeah, of course not. There's very little you can do in the BIOS. I agree with that. You're going to pretty much get it as is. So, and to me, for a gaming laptop, it's fine as is. But you can upgrade the 7200R hard drive for a 1 terabyte SSD. I don't really know what the problem, why you would have to do that. That's just, to me, a waste. If anything, I would have installed a second hard drive or a bigger hard drive rather than just changing a 1 terabyte for a 1 terabyte, because the 7200 RPM is still fine to do most anything. And you can kind of overclock this. You can get this screen to go up to 75 hertz, I believe. I believe it's overclockable. Yeah, so this person here just said, whatever, poor HP quality control. You know, you don't need to contact HP. You can just take it back to Micro Center. So, and you should get a warranty on this anyway, because it's a $1,000 purchase. So I would recommend you paying the extra money to get a warranty, because Microsoft will replace it if you break it and give you a brand new one or give you all your money back. So I mean, that's a great deal. That's a good warranty, you know. Definitely a good warranty. It's worth paying the extra money for. So, you know, this 1 star really is irrelevant. Hard drive failed, of course, it happens. You know, you're going to get defective units occasionally. So this one says this machine is fast. I bought this machine at Micro Center for $900. That's cheap. And can't believe the specs for the price. I've had it for 2 weeks and so far extremely happy. So I'm not sure why they only gave it 4 stars. They're totally happy with the product. And they got it for $100 cheaper than I got it for. So lucky you. So this is the last one I'll do, I guarantee, I promise. Good, not great. So let's see why he thinks it's good, not great. Because I totally disagree with that. For the price, it's great. I just picked up this laptop and I'm thoroughly happy with it. It has a few issues, but they don't ruin it for me. I'm using this as an on-the-go video editing computer. The screen is definitely not color accurate, but I didn't expect it to be. But again, I don't know what that means. The colors look fine to me. It is plenty powerful for light 4K video editing. I even did one of my more complex videos with it, though it was clearly taxing the machine. Well, this is not a 4K laptop. It's not meant to do 4K editing. So if you can do 4K editing, then I would say that's great. Not just good, but great. Because it's exceeding the expectation. Overall, I like it, but thermal throttles like crazy. No. Not sure what they mean by thermal throttling. I showed you the CPU ID, and I showed you the Resident Evil 2. I'm not sure. Let's see. Let's get that back up here. Where is it here? Resident Evil. I'm going to have to turn the sound off, though. So I'm not sure what they mean by throttling, thermal throttling. Here you can see that none of the CPU speeds are going below 3800 megahertz. So yes, it's doing its job by switching between threads and cores to keep the temperatures down, but I'm not really sure what they're talking about here. And the fan doesn't go up and down, up and down, up and down. So I'm not really sure what thermal throttling means. When you talk about throttling, to me that always means it's dropping the CPU speed way down. So maybe they're not aware to put it on performance like I have it on. to keep the CPU ramped up to 3800, because if you put it on the lower one, get this back up again. So if you go to here, Performance Control Center, let me just test that. You know, I never really tested this out before, so we're doing this together for the first time. Alright, so you can't really see that. I wish that was bigger. There's no way to make this bigger though, unfortunately. Alright, so I have it on performance. Let's see what happens when we put it on comfort. What happens? How do you get it to stick? I guess it's done. Maybe you gotta restart the computer. I don't know, it didn't change. You might have to restart the computer to get it to take effect, which obviously I can't do right now, but it's still running at 3800. So, I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, shoot, I hate to do multiple videos, it's kind of annoying. Let me restart the computer and see if that changes. Let me just get this back up again. See, I might have changed something in the BIOS. Enabled. So, alright, I'll be back. Alright, I'm back. So, I don't know exactly what that does. So, it's still running at 38, almost 3900 megahertz. So, yeah. So, I don't have any kind of like problem here. And again, the fans are pretty steady. You know, it's not really loud, it's there, but so let's get back to what we were doing here. So anyway, that didn't change anything. It's still running at 3800 megahertz, so I don't know exactly what I did to keep it that way, but apparently that's doable. So let me go back to that one review. Good, not great. So we already determined that he can do some 4K editing, which makes it great because it's exceeding its expectations. Now again, I don't recommend you undervolting the CPU. I mean, unless you exactly know what you're doing. I don't know why he keeps saying it thermal throttles. I don't think that you should really go by the Intel Extreme utility. I mean, I don't know. All the games that I played run smooth, so I don't think there's a problem there. I mean, I'm not really sure why they would not want the CPU to cool itself down anyway. So, who cares about Cinebench? I mean, Cinebench is not like the end of all testing, you know? So, I don't really know why people like live and die by that. Anyway, I don't understand it. You know, the CPU is made to go, you know, up to 90 degrees, over 90 degrees, really. Anyway, let's just move on. The speakers are kind of hollow sounding to me, though pretty loud. However, they are down firing and muffled when in my lap in bed, when I actually care to use them to watch YouTube or the like. I like have a table next to my bed that I put the laptop on, and that's what I do. I lie in bed and watch it on the table. So I think that's a personal preference. Yes, they don't have a deep bass sound. because it's just a little laptop. I mean, what do you expect? Even my cell phones, which claim to have good sound systems in them, don't match my home stereo system when it comes to quality. So, I think that's again another kind of moot complaint, but that's just my opinion. So here they're saying screen isn't color accurate, 66% of sRGB. That might be true, but it looks fine to me. Thermal throttles under any real load. So what is a real load? I mean, all my games are, the 2 games that I tested, or Division as well, were taxing the system, and it was running smoothly. It's a laptop. It's going to do whatever it has to do to stay cool. So again, I think those expectations are just way too high for this kind of a laptop. I think for $1,000 laptop, and in some cases people getting it at $900, I think it's great. Fans are loud while still getting hot. Well, the fans are louder because they have to work to keep the GPU and CPU cool. So I think that's to be expected. I think it would be more annoying if the fans kept going, but they don't even make that annoying noise. They're very quiet, as you can hear. It's a steady kind of pleasant air noise. It's not like a annoying kind of fan noise. Okay, that's when it's not really under load. I can't even hear it at all right now. If they're running, I don't hear them. Or if they are, it's super quiet. So yeah, of course, under load, they're going to ramp up. They're going to go to 100%. If you're playing Metro or doing video editing or any of that, it's going to ramp up. I mean, even my desktop computers, my 2 8-core systems with RTX 2070 and an RTX 2080 Ti, guess what happens when I do video editing? The fans come on and they start spinning. And I can hear them. If I do like a very graphically intensive game, like say Metro or Resident Evil 2 on my RTX and my RTX 2080 Ti. Now mind you, they aren't going to be nearly as loud as a laptop. But guess what? The fans come on. Now they're very quiet still, but they're still going to run at 50%, when you're playing those kinds of games. Because with my 2080 Ti, I play at 4K. So it's going to be working the card. And with my RTX 2070, I'm playing at 1440p, ultra settings on that thing back there. My monitor back here. On my other computer. So that's totally not unusual. And again, this laptop is not a $2,500 laptop. And I think that they achieved something wonderful here at a $999 price point. And in some cases, some people were getting this thing cheaper. With the loudness of the fans are within acceptable decibel ranges, in my opinion. You can hear it, but it's not an annoying fan noise. There's a big difference there, and it turns steadily, which is what you want. You don't want it like, turning on and turning off, turning on and turning off. I have a laptop that does that, and it's very annoying. So it's going to go up to the RPMs that it needs to cool down the CPU, and the GPU, because this is not like a 2-core processor in here or 4-core processor. It's a 6-core processor and a GTX 1060 discrete graphics card. It's a full-fledged graphics card in here. So, yeah. Let's see here. All right, color accuracy, that might be true, but I don't know. To me, it looks fine. When I do my videos, if I edit them and they come out looking crisp and clear, then that's what I want to achieve. I don't know about the color. I'm not sure what kind of color tweaking people want to do. That's out of my, occupation. Fans are loud while still getting hot. Again, loud. What is loud to people? The fact that you can hear them? I think the decibels that they're running at and not having any kind of whining noise, like a high-pitched whining noise or a low rumble kind of a noise, I think they do very well. That your brain can kind of block it out, because the sound of the speakers, if you're using the speakers, they're very loud, so that's going to drown out any of that noise. Speakers are meh, again, that's all relative to your opinion. Left and right mouse buttons all the way at the bottom is annoying. I don't like trackpad to begin with. Like, I've never have, to be honest with you. But, we have to accept that they're going to come on every laptop, so there's no way around that. So that's all like relative to whether you actually use it or not. I don't use it. I use a mouse. So I don't have to worry about that problem. I use a ball mouse, which saves my wrist and moves the mouse around just very easily. I can use the mouse wheel, grab stuff quickly. So that's all for the reviews. So, I know that's a long time. I wanted to go through the reviews because I wanted to give you my opinions about some of the things that people were saying. But overall, 4.6 out of 5 out of all these reviews is pretty freaking good. Very good. So, almost 90 reviews. So I'm not the only one saying that they like this laptop. So let's move to the next phase of this whole conversation here. So this laptop is a good laptop for the price, okay? Whether you have some kind of quirks that you think are quirks with it, that's your opinion. You're allowed to have that opinion, fine. But even with the cons, it got a 4.6 out of 5. So I'd say that's pretty good. And I've kind of verified some of the things that people were talking about. But again, that's going to be all based on how nitpicky you are. For the price, even today, it's still good value. But, let's look at some of the new stuff. But it looks like, is this the one from them? Now, Best Buy has it, so MSI, so I don't really need to get a Memory Express. I also looked up Newegg. So let's see, HP. Let me see if they have any new laptops here that are similar in spec, but just the next generation up. Let's see. So this is not the next gen, this is the old gen. So they don't have any new RTX ones, it looks like. But see, the one that Micro Center has, I can't even find it on the HP Omen website. So I think that the one that Micro Center has is unique. So it looks like they're still trying to sell out of the ones that they have already. Or not RTX, but 16 series, sorry. Here, look at this one. This is AMD graphics, and it's $1,500. Here's an Omen 17T. It's only got 8 gigs of memory. It's only got a 1050 in it. Phew. That's horrible. So that's almost as much as I paid for mine, and that's way better. Now here's one here. 8th generation Intel Core i7 with a GeForce GTX 1070M. I don't know what the M is for. Mobile, maybe? But see, that's $1,519, so... and this one's got the 16 gigs of Intel Optane. So let's see what this one looks like. Let's see the specs on this bad boy. So it's got the 8750, which is the same one I have. Intel Optane. I don't understand that. It says no Optane, then it says 16 gigabytes, so I don't get that one. Anyway. Yeah, so this is not even giving you, like, this is just what it starts out at, I guess. This one has a 17-inch screen, though. 1080p, 144, so, you know, if you want to pay the extra $500 to get the 144 hertz with a GTX 1070, I'd say that's a pretty good deal. But if you don't have that much money to spend or don't really need something like that, then the one that I have is just more than sufficient. So it's got some stuff here. So this is all stuff you can change, though. This is not really the actual specs of this thing. So I guess you just have to go by this. So just from these specs here, it's a pretty good deal for $1,500. But again, I think I would go with the Turing. So let's go check out some of the Turing stuff. So I have this MSI laptop here. I mean, you can go to like these, go back to here and say shop all. So forget about Memory Express because it's Canadian. B&H is very expensive in my opinion. So I don't think they're going to have anything cheap. But you never know. We can look at it. So this has a 1660 Ti in it. Not really sure what the difference is. This has 144 hertz IPS display. And this has got 120 hertz. So, for the same price, this one's got Pro, this one's got Home. Just trying to look at the difference here. So for $14.99, and that seems like, and then you get this one, you get the 144 hertz IPS display. So why not go with the 120? This one's 17-inch screen. So there you go. So I guess it depends on how big you want. So let's say you want to go with the 17-inch screen. Okay, that's probably getting more value for your money. So let's look at the specs. Okay, so here you're getting a 9750H. It's a 6-core processor. But its maximum boost is 4.5 gigahertz, so that's pretty good. It's got 16 gigs of onboard memory, which is good. It says no available memory slots. So does that mean they're talking about inside? It's got dedicated graphics, which is a GTX 1660 Ti with 6 gigs of GDDR6, so that's good. It's got 1920 by 1080 at 144 hertz. That's good. 3 millisecond response time. That's good. But it says it's got no adaptive sync. So that's not so good, I guess. Although, again, that's all like nitpicking, I think. And then it says it's got 512 gigabytes NVMe M.2 drive, which is good, but does it have any other? See, this is where you have to start looking at the fine details. Does it have any extra storage? It's only got 512 gigs SSD drive. So that's not going to be enough for gaming. I mean, yeah, if you want to install your game, you know, wait an hour or two for it to download the 50 gigabytes, play the game, and then uninstall it, you could do that and then reinstall the next game. But me personally, I like to put as many games as I can on my hard drive so they're ready to rock and roll when I'm ready to fire them up. But that's me. Okay, so that's kind of a downfall here. So let's go back and check out that 15-inch one. So it's got a 512 SSD in it, but it doesn't have a hard drive. This one, though, you can upgrade the memory to 64 gigs. It's got only 1512. See, so the specs are fine on this, but I don't like the storage situation. Okay. Again, if you don't care about like limiting your hard drive to 512 or basically not wanting to have to worry about adding a hard drive, which is you paying more money now for another hard drive, which is going to up the cost. Let's go check out the other ones here. This MSI one here. Alright, so this one's, again, at Best Buy, they have this for $16.99. So I don't know how I got to this one now. Let me see. This is one of the ones they recommended on the NVIDIA site, of course. So this one has one review. Where are the specs? Okay, here we go. So Windows 10, 15.6, 1080p. It's got i7-9750H. So again, this one only has a 512 drive in it. So not real happy about that. The 16 gigabytes of RAM is good. The 1660 Ti is good. Again, it's not telling you 6 cores, but I guess the 9750H is a 6-core processor. I thought it was a 8, but I guess you got to get a 99 series there. It's only got a SSD. So everything else is fine, except for the storage. And whether it's Windows 10 Pro or Home, if you care about that. So for $16.99, this is the only thing that it really lacks. I would like to see that plus a 1 terabyte hard drive or a 2 terabyte hard drive. So let's check Newegg now. Alright, so let's go with the cheapest first, okay? So lowest price, which might mess up the sorting here. So all these have 1660 Ti's. Okay, so it looks like MSI and Gigabyte are the ones making these things right now. Let's see what kind of specs these have. So we'll start out with the 17-inch since that's the better one. And again, it looks like we're just getting the same old thing. So it looks pretty similar. So you have 17-inch, 144 Hertz, which is good. 16 gigs of DDR4 RAM, that's good. 1660 Ti, that's good. I guess We have to settle with the 6-core processor, although it doesn't say it's got hyper-threading, so I'm thinking it's just 6 cores. Although H might mean hyper-threading. Let me copy, let me check it. Well, it does say it does have hyper-threading, so I guess it does have hyper-threading. I guess that's what the H means. 9750H. Alright, so it is 6 core, 6 threads, or 6 core 12 threads, so that's good. So that's all we needed to know there. Thank you, Notebook Check. Alright, again, up to 4.5 gigahertz, that's fantastic. Yeah, so everything's exactly the same for the most part. You might just get some of these features changing, but looks like one USB 3.2 gen Type-C adapter, yeah. That's what I wanted to say, the Type-C before. And 3 USB 3.2 gen Type-A, so mini display port and 1 HDMI, so that's alright. Yep. I don't know about giant speakers, 3 watts times 2. That's probably not as good quality. The webcam is only 720. Wish they would start putting 1080p cams in these things, because I really hate that. So that one's okay. The only problem is webcam 720, only 1 hard drive again. So there's none of these have an extra hard drive. Let's go with this ARs. Huh, they all just have 1 hard drive. It's very disappointing. Very disappointing. I'm sure that you can upgrade it though. I'm sure you can add another hard drive in there. I can't imagine you not being able to. But again, that's gonna up your cost. You might as well just say add an extra 100 hours. You know? So you do get some games here. I don't know what the game bundle is. Fortnite. Freaking garbage. Yeah, so it's not really, who cares about Fortnite? So they don't have the here's the RTX 2070. Whoa, that's pretty messed up there. That's $21.99. So see, that's getting into a whole nother level of spending. You know what I'm saying? So this has got a 15.6 240 hertz screen, which is good, but again, that's getting way out of the price range here of what I'm trying to deal with. So this GeForce, the reason why I'm bringing this all up is because this 1660 Ti in this laptop is fantastic. I mean, you're talking about, I mean, I don't know what the exact amount is, but you know, you're talking about nearly double the performance of a GTX 1060. You know, and I say double the performance because you now are stepping up a whole nother tier when it comes to like resolution. You know, you can go from 1080p to 1440p. Now again, these screens obviously are not 1440p, and I don't know why. But even at 1080p, you're going to get way more frames per second, you know, with a 1660 Ti. Personally, I would have preferred to have a 1440p screen than have a 1080p screen, because it kind of wastes the power of this thing. Because you can 1440p game with this at 60 frames per second. I'm pretty sure of that. You know, on at least, maybe not ultra settings, but at least medium high to high settings, you should be able to. So it's kind of a waste of power here, but you know, it's fine. 1080p, you'll get a lot more frame rates. So yeah, forget about the RTX 2070 for right now. That's a great performer though. I mean, it's still a good price for that, and you get a 2 terabyte hard drive with that. So if you just want me to like comment about this, you got a 240 hertz screen, 16 gigs of RAM still. This should have been a 9900, but whatever. You get a 6-core, 12-thread processor. You get 2 hard drives in this one. 2 terabyte hard drive, that's good, and a 512 Windows drive, that's great. And then 8 gigs of video memory with this. So the specs on this are fantastic. But you know, you're paying a premium for that. So yeah, not so great for what we're trying to shoot for. So man, simply because of this 512 SSD situation, you know, if you really need 144 hertz 1080p screen, then you're going to be paying an extra $600 for that. And you're going to be losing a 1 terabyte drive. So, in my personal opinion, unless you need to play at 1080p ultra settings at high FPS, you still can't beat this deal right here. This is still the better deal. If you don't need 144 hertz or a 17-inch screen, you know, this is still a pretty good buy. If you wanted to get a gaming laptop but didn't have $1,600 to spend on the new one, then go out and get this one for $999 or $900, depending on where you can get it. You know, if you can get it for $100 off, get it. It's definitely a great deal in my personal opinion. You know, if you really have to go to the next tier, skip over this 144 hertz here, because you're paying an extra $100 for 24 more hertz. And that's ridiculous. And I don't know what this Gigabyte Aero is here. Why this is $1,700. What, super thin or something? I guess it's really thin. But they're not really showing you the side. Huh. Yeah, they're not really showing you the side here too much. That doesn't really help, does it? Yeah, I guess it's pretty thin. So this one has audio jack, HDMI, USB 3.1, RJ45, SD card reader, Type C, Thunderbolt, 2 more USBs. I'd rather have another video out port. I mean, it's only got 1 HDMI port. Again, the 1660 Ti is a fantastic card to have on a laptop. I mean, that's just fantastic. Yeah, I mean, see, you're going up to $3,000 if you want a 1 terabyte drive. And now what about a 2 terabyte drive? $4,000 for a thin laptop. Yeah, that's just not... That's way out of the range of what we're dealing with here. Yeah, so I would go with this one. I mean, if you did want to go up to a new one, I mean, this one has a 144 hertz panel here for the same price. So I forgot what the compromise was here. I see 17-inch at 144. What was the difference? Yeah, I mean, I would go with this one if you didn't mind the 17-inch, because I mean, what is it lacking? kind of outputs does this have? So this one also has a mini display port and an HDMI port, so you can hook up your VR to this. Again, it's only got a 720p camera, which kind of sucks, but whatever. 6-cell, lithium-ion battery, 180-watt AC adapter. Yeah. Yeah. So if you had to upgrade this, I guess you have to go with this one, but you're still gonna have to get another hard drive because that's just not gonna be enough. If you want to do content creation or video editing and stuff like that, I mean, you don't want to carry around an external hard drive. You can, but me personally, I don't like doing it. So, and this is sold by Newegg, so I would trust that over a third-party seller. But yeah, your performance is going to be so much better with this card. I mean, it performs the same as a GTX 1070, if not better. You know, in gaming, that is. Not maybe video editing may be a little different because it's only got the 6 gigs of memory, but it's not really going to be that much different. You know, and again, this isn't really a 4K editing machine. So, yeah, so that's it. That's my assessment. If you're gonna look for a laptop, right now you're limited, I think, on what you can buy because if we go to gaming laptops again here, and we put in GTX 10 series, I mean, or excuse me, we want to do the RTX series. They do have 2060s, and then also the 1600 series. So they do have 1650s, but I wouldn't bother with that. So we can look at the 2060s. I didn't know they had them. So this is kind of weird. I don't really understand what's going on right here from what I'm seeing immediately. Why is an RTX 2060 cheaper than a 1660? That doesn't make any sense. So we want a Core i7 for sure. We want a 9th generation. Okay. You could go with an older i7. I mean, you could. I mean, I guess we can try it. 8th generation, let's see. So that's probably the ones that are cheaper. So we'll start from the lowest price, and we'll do sold by Newegg. Okay, we'll do new. We're not going to do open box, because that's up to you guys. And we're going to go sold by Newegg. Come on, where is it? Seller. So let's do Newegg here. Again, you might know these guys. Let me see. So let's do Newegg, Dell. Circuit City. I forgot that they have an online store still. That's weird. Again, you guys might know these other places, but I don't, so I wouldn't trust them. But if you guys, obviously want to trust them, that's up to you. So here we got an RTX 2060, which is faster than a 1660 Ti from HP. Alright, so let's see what we got here. So this one looks pretty good. Very good, actually. So this is probably comparable to the one I have, except you get next generation stuff, at least the video card. So it's got 16 gigs of RAM, that's good. It's got an 8750H, which we already determined was good. It's got a 15.6 IPS screen, which is probably only 60 Hertz. I would imagine, since it's not advertising anything better. 1080p, Windows Home, could be better. It's got a RTX 2060 with 6 gigs. That's excellent. That's really good. I mean, that's killing my GTX 1060. It's got an SSD drive, 128 gigabytes, and a hard drive, 1 terabyte. So I don't like this 128 gigs, but you can get away with it if you don't put anything else on the Windows drive. Don't put anything else on the Windows drive. Don't install anything else except for the Windows. Put it all on your 1 terabyte drive because it'll fill up really quickly. So if you want to go with this, then just make sure Windows only. That's it. 1 terabyte 7200 RPM drive, that's fantastic. You don't have to have an SSD drive. 7200 RPM is good. You know, it's got all the necessary ports that you would need. It's got a mini display port and an HDMI out, so that's great. You got 2 video port outs. It's got a microphone headphone jack, and it's got the Bang & Olufsen speakers, which we already determined are fine. You know, they're not super professional, but they sound great and they're loud. It's got an RGB keyboard, so it's basically similar to this, just not as fancy looking. So yeah, if you were gonna shop today and you wanted to get something that was reasonable, I would say this is great bang for your buck if you can get it for $1,329. Yeah, I would say that's very good. And there's other sellers here that are selling them cheaper. Ant Online. So I never heard of that person. Go with that seller, then that's up to you, but I would rather just buy from people I know I can trust and who will give me refunds if something happens. But that's up to you to get in touch with the sellers. You know, I'm just going by basically retail shops that I know, you know, I can trust. Let's see, we got another one here that's from MSI. Let's see what we got here. 120 hertz screen, so let's try that. That's pretty good. Let's see the specs. So it's got an RTX 2060, which is good. It's got similar specs, 128 gig hard drive, NVMe actually, which is good. 1 terabyte hard drive, so this is not bad. So let's look at the specs and see what's different here. So it's got a 17-inch 120 hertz screen, so that's good. Very good, actually. 16 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte, 7200 RPM, plus 128 gig Windows drive, which is again is fine as long as you don't install anything else on the Windows drive. 6 gigs of DDR6 on the video card. 6-core 12-thread processor. 128 hertz, 3 milliseconds. 72% NTSC color, anti-glare. I don't know about this LAN thing. And the sound, let's see, what kind of sound does this thing have? Probably not as good a sound. Giant speaker, 3 watt times 2. I don't know Giant speakers, I don't know that brand. 720 HD cam. Blah blah. What about the connectors here? So again, it's got one HDMI, one mini display port, one Type-C, 3 USB. So that's pretty much most you're going to get at this price range. So yeah, so this is pretty good too. This RTX 2060 will kill the GTX 1060. Not a terrible looking laptop, pretty plain looking, but you know, okay. So this is not a bad deal either. I would say this is pretty good specs. You know, if you can't spend more than $1,500, you know. So let's go to back to Micro Center. So let's check out what they have for sale right now. Lowest price first. Okay, so they won't let us individualize. So this 1050 Max Q, forget it. Intel 8350, forget it. 7300U processor, forget it. i7 1.8 gigahertz, forget it. So let's skip all this junk, even though I put new. I guess open box counts as new if it was a new open box. i7 8650, forget it. Alright, so here is a razor blade. That's interesting. Let's skip that one for now though. So we have a 1060, 1060, 1060. 1.6 gigahertz, forget it. 2.3 gigahertz, forget it. i5, forget i5, forget it. Okay, here's an RTX 2070. Wow. That's their brand, Power Spec. I mean, that one usually gets ups and downs reviews, so I'm not sure I would want to recommend that one right now. Here's a GTX 1070 here. That's an open box. Or maybe it has an open box. I'm sorry. So RX 580, forget it. Surface Pro, forget it. And this one here, 8350, forget it. So let's go back to page 1. So here we go. So ZenBook 1050, we already said forget it. So forget all these. Let's go back down to the 1070 here, because that was the better video card. So let's see what comes with that to see if it's worth buying. My eyes are starting to burn for some reason. I think I need to open the window. Okay, so here you have one here. This is Micro Center brand. Okay. So let's take a look at this one. They have an open box at Micro Center at this store, so we're going to ignore that. So $1,299. That's a pretty good price. That's within our price range of under $1,500. Okay, so right off the bat, it comes with an i7 7700 HQ. So that's only a 4-core 8-thread processor. Okay, it's not a bad processor though. It's got when it came out, it got great reviews. So this has a GTX 1070 8 gig card on it. That's good. 16 gigs of RAM. That's real good. It's got a 1 terabyte hard drive. That's good. And a 250 gigabyte SSD. So, wow. That's tough. It's a quad core. Ugh. I have a 7700K and they do run well. Man, that's some great specs though. I guess it's not. It's a 17.3 inch screen size too. Wow. And it comes with G-Sync. Wow. Phew. Darn. And it's got a front camera with full HD, but full HD, I don't know if full HD could mean 720p. So I don't know if full HD is 1080p. FHD, maybe. It could be 1080p. But that's not really the selling point here. It has a 4-cell lithium polymer battery, 230 watts. So boy, I don't think that's going to last very long if you're gaming. So yeah, the battery is not going to be the greatest, I don't think. Although I don't know much about batteries, but 4 cells, that doesn't sound like very much to me. What kind of outputs does it have here? Wow, so this one has 1 HDMI and 2 mini display ports. Look at that. That's not bad. So the audio is probably not going to be the greatest in this thing. But I mean, it looks thin, kind of. Pretty thin. But again, this is Microsoft, not Microsoft, Micro Center brand. So the cooling may not be that great, although it's only got a 4-core, so it probably doesn't have to worry about as much cooling. What is the processor speed though on this? It starts out at 2.8, but it doesn't tell you the max turbo speed. So let's put this online again. But you know, that's not bad. If you're doing VR, you know, 3800 should be enough with a 1070. It's tough though. I mean, wow. This is a good value. Very good value. And it's got a GTX 1070, which is, you know, going to be as powerful as a 1660 Ti. And have 2 more gigs of RAM. VRAM. It's tough. I would probably say, if I was to choose between this one and this one, simply because I like good graphical gaming, I'm going to make my choice based on gaming functionality versus, say, video editing functionality. Because I don't need to get my video editing done super quick. It just has to be done within a reasonable amount of time. And a GTX 1070 will be able to do that. The processor really isn't going to matter very much. If you gave me the choice of having one for free, I would probably go with this one over the HP one. Although I do like the cooling on the HP one. I guess that's what it would depend on, the cooling here, because I don't have any reviews here to see. That's the only problem. But I would say this is definitely a good deal for what you're getting. A very good deal. So I would say either or. Go with the $999 HP. You know, you won't be losing out. You're just not going to be able to play gaming at, you know, 1080p Ultra on every game. Whereas with this GTX 1070 here, you probably will. So again, it all depends on what you want to do. If you're going to be doing less gaming, more video editing, go with the 9900 HP. If you're going to be doing more gaming than video editing, then I would go with this one. Although again, power spec, beware. So let's move on here. So that's a good deal for what you're getting. But again, power spec, I've read some reviews before on them, and they weren't the greatest they had mixed match reviews. So is that the only 1070? No, right here. Here's an RTX 2070. Wow, look at that. That's under 1500. So that's within our price range here. Power spec again, though. Yeeks. At least we got one review here. I don't know why there's two, it says here. This guy upgraded the hard drive because, again, you're only getting 500 gigs. One drive. I don't understand that. Like, what is up with that? I'm assuming they're paying so much for these RTX cards that, you know, they have to skimp out on something, and they're choosing to skimp out on the hard drive. But let's look at the specs before I look at the review. So here's what we have. We have a 8750H, okay, which is a 6-core, 6-thread processor, so that's good. 16 gigs of RAM, good. It's expandable though up to 64, maybe. There's one extra memory slot available. Wait, huh? I don't understand that one. It's only got one hard drive, 500 gigs, so not good. But it is 500 gigs, so you could have Windows on there and have one good big game on there. It's got a 1080p screen that runs at 144 Hertz. Good. It's got a front-facing 1 megapixel camera. Bad, but that's not a seller. It's got an NVIDIA RTX 2070. Very good. Very, very good. I have two RTX 2070 graphics cards in my computers over here, along with an RTX 2080 Ti, so I know how they perform. So if this isn't a gimped down version, then it should perform very well. Audio system. High definition audio, 7.1 surround sound. Again, it's not really giving you the brand, so take that with a grain of salt. Card reader, good. Ports, it's going to have pretty much similar to what everyone else has, I suppose. It's got two USB 3.1, one time Type-C, and a one-time 3.1. So it's got three 3.1s and one Type-C. So pretty much all you're going to get with this kind of system. It looks like it has HDMI and DisplayPort. It looks like it's got a Thunderbolt here or something. I'm not sure what that is. It's got something here. It's got a 3.1, 3.1. So it's got two video outputs, so that's okay. One for VR, one for a monitor or something. Again, it's probably not going to have the best power pack, so I wouldn't expect it to have long battery life. But outside of this, 500 gig. Man, you can't beat an RTX 2070. Although it's not telling you exactly what kind of RTX 2070 it's got. If it's got the max Q or not. And why does it have GDDR5X? That doesn't make any sense at all. So see, this is a little fishy here now. It should have DDR6. So see, that's not sure. Could be to save on heat, maybe power. Is 5X more power friendly than DDR6? Huh. You know, on the surface, this looks like a good deal. You know? For $500 more, you're getting one less terabyte. Not sure about this DDR5X though. That's you know. So I mean, it's on the surface it looks good. I mean, that's definitely better than a GTX 1070, you know, because an RTX 2070 is like getting a GTX 1080 plus, because it performs better than a 1080 normally on desktop. So, but you still get a whole lot on the where is it? You know, and this is only a 4-core processor, but you're getting. Oop, what happened there? Whoa, why does it doesn't exist? Somebody bought it? Ah, looks like somebody sold it. 0 in stock, it says. Okay. Let's see, do they have an open box? 0 in stock. I guess somebody swiped it up. So anyway, I don't know. It depends, you know. If you did find this in stock, it's still not a bad value, and it's got G-Sync. So yeah, I just a little leery about the Power Spec brand. That's all. All right, so let's look at some of these other 1060 ones. Acer. See, it's $11.99, and this only has a 512 drive. Here's a 1060 here. Similar specs to the HP one, because it doesn't look like this really has anything much different than what the Omen one has. Well, it does have a 17-inch screen. So, if you need a bigger screen, you can go with this one. You know, you'd have to look exactly at everything. This has a 4-cell battery, whereas I think the HP Omen has a 6-cell. So this one won't be as good, I don't think. But again, it doesn't really matter if you're gaming. You're going to eat that up quick. This Dolby audio system, so I guess the speakers might be half decent on this one. Yeah, so I guess if you need the bigger screen, you could go with this one for $100 more. So you'll pay $100 more for a 17-inch screen. What else do we have? So this one's only got a 512. For $14.99, 1060. I don't, you know, the Zephyrus brand I think is thin. I think. I mean, it looks thin. So if you have to have thin, maybe. I mean, again, this HP Omen laptop is not really that big, you know, so it's a little heavier probably, but I don't see why that would really be a big deal for people because it's just so small. Here's one here with just a 256 solid state. So this one, you know, both of these, they just have solid state drives. So it's kind of, I don't like that. And then the Razer Blade also just has a 512. So let's see, this one's even worse though. This is only 14 inches. And it's got an Intel 7700 HQ. So you're paying for a name here. And this is probably small, very small. I mean, at 14 inch, it's going to be smaller than this one. So, I mean, if you really have to have something super small, $14.49 for this probably isn't a bad deal because there isn't too many people that are going to be selling, too many companies that are going to be sell something 14 inches. Again, I don't know why you would want 14-inch gaming laptop. I mean, I wouldn't want that at all. 15 inches is too small for me, really. I only bought this because it was a good price and it had a specific purpose. And was willing to bite my lip, you know, to buy it. So yeah, the only other one that really to me is worth buying is this one. Because it's got the 17-inch screen. But I don't know what the cooling solution is on this. I mean, it certainly only has one output in the back here to cool it. So that doesn't necessarily make me feel more comfortable. And the Acers are kind of generic looking. They're not really like anything to write home about. And they didn't even show the back, did they? Just briefly. So there is no outputs in the back. So you got two USBs on the side here. So here you just have, oh man, can't even see it. Let's zoom in here. So it looks like here you only have one HDMI. That's it. So that's unfortunate. It doesn't look like it has DisplayPort. So, you know, I don't know if it's even worth it to, I mean, if you have to have 17 inches, then I guess you can deal with it. But you're getting even less features, it looks like, on here. Yeah, you just have one HDMI, that's it. Yeah, so HP definitely still has the steel. And as far as I'm concerned, the one I would recommend is the $999 HP, which I think I canceled here, didn't I? Yeah, so here it is, the HP Omen, $999. So I would still say this is the best deal, best bargain, the best bang for your buck. You know, until you get up to like the GTX 1070 model, the power spec. But again, the power spec, I'm not sure about that brand. It's a little iffy to me. It doesn't look like the 1660 Ti models are really worth buying right now, unless you can deal with just one hard drive that's 512 gigabytes, and you need the high refresh screens. Here's a Dell for $800. But it's got an i5 in it, so forget it. I mean, that's sufficient. I mean, don't get me wrong. You can game with that for sure. I mean, this is actually pretty, but it's got max Q. So I'm not sure if that's like a dumbed down 1060 or not. This one has a regular GTX 1060 in it. So this one probably will be quieter. It's cheaper. You'll be able to play games, no problem. I would still think even with the max Q. But from what I heard about the Max Q designs, they really like clock these video cards down. For the little bit of more money you're gonna pay, I would just go with the full on. You know, you're better off paying more money. I mean, if you just go ahead and pay more money, you're just gonna get more for your money. You know, and then it's gonna last you longer. Now here's an Alienware right here. Look at this one. 17-inch screen. Well, that's one I haven't seen before. So this one looks like a good deal. 8750H, that's good. Oh, only 8 gigs of memory. So that's not good. In this day and age, you really want 16 gigabytes. You saw those games that I was playing. You know, if you watch the other videos, they're using a lot of memory, and you want to be able to use as much memory as possible because you want, you know, your full textures and stuff. So you're gonna have to buy another stick. So that's more money you're paying. It says here one 256 drive and a 1 terabyte drive, so that's good. 17-inch screen. It doesn't say IPS though. Just full HD anti-glare LCD. So that's probably a generic screen. But if you need 17 inches, there it is. Looks like it's got a regular GTX 1060, so that's good. The audio is probably not going to be that great, but it does say it's got two 4-watt and a subwoofer, so maybe it sounds okay. It's got one mini display, one HDMI, so that's okay. And it's got your normal amount of USB ports. 4-cell battery at 4,400 milliamps. So that's, you know, not the greatest, I don't think. You're going to have to buy an extra RAM stick for this, because you definitely want to have 16 gigabytes to get the most out of this machine. Because, you know, there's no point in getting a good graphics card if your CPU or system doesn't have enough resources in other areas, you know. So definitely would upgrade this to another 8 gig stick or 2 8 gigs if you have to take this one out. You might have to take this one out and buy 2 8 gig sticks. So that's another $80 or to $100 you're spending for laptop memory. So you're back up to $1,100. But, you know, it is Alienware, so this is a pretty good deal. And if you can stay away from i5, stay away from it. Because it's just, you're wasting your money buying this stuff. Because it's just not going to last, you know. So if you really like Alienware, support them and buy extra RAM for your $100. Or you can already get your extra RAM and a 17-inch screen with maybe so-so speakers. But I don't know, I'd probably go with the Alienware and upgrade the RAM. You know, that's what I would do. So yeah, I think that's it. I don't think we're going to find too many other better deals. So I would say my super duper deal would be this Power Spec GTX 1070, because it's got a 1 terabyte drive and a 250 drive and 16 gigs of RAM. But it's only got the 4-core 8-thread processor. So that's the only disadvantage there. But that GTX 1070 is going to be nice. So if you have $1,300 to spend, I would get this open box for $11.69 if you can drive to the store. Or if you can get one at that price, because that's definitely a good price. And then just buy the warranty, you know. It's going to cost you an extra $200, but you're getting a very good system, and that warranty will cover any damage. So definitely worth getting those warranties from Micro Center. But again, I told you I was leery about that Power Spec brand. So so if you're kind of leery about it too, then go ahead with this. Go ahead with the Alienware. Have Micro Center put in the 16 gigs of RAM and buy the warranty for this, and you got yourself a good system. But it doesn't have the GTX 1070 in it. Otherwise, just buy the warranty with this Power Spec, and you got yourself a fantastic system. Even though it's 4-core, you know, that's still going to be fine enough to run any game, really. So that's it, I guess. I mean, that's again what I would look for if I'm within this price range of, say, $999 to $1,400. This is Power Spec again, though. See, that's the thing that I hate about that. Eesh. So you do have an RTX 2070 here for $1,499, and that is a really nice card. You just have to ask them if it's the Max Q. If this is a regular discrete RTX 2070, then the only concern that I would have is how good's the airflow, and if it's a Max Q. Otherwise, if you have $14.99 to spend, plus tax, of course, because you're going to have to pay tax on this bad boy. So that's going to be what? Jeez. 10, Well, let's just say you paid 6% sales tax. Wow, that's going to be $6 on 100. So you're going to pay 60, nearly, you know, $80 more in tax. So, but then again, you're going to pay another $250 for the warranty. So, again, it depends on how much money you have to spend. And then, of course, if we go back to Newegg, I don't know if I got rid of it or not. You have this one here. I mean, we can add in the RX 20. Where is it? The 2070. So, electronics. Let's skip that one. So here is a nice one. HP Omen 15 series again. Look at that. So this one has a 512 gig SSD and a 1 terabyte hard drive. And it's got NVIDIA RTX 2070 in it. And it's got a 4K screen, 15-inch 4K screen, which I always thought was kind of useless because it's so small. But you're only going to get 60 hertz on that too, so remember that. But this is also a 8750H, so that's good. It only has 8 gigs of RAM though, so that's not good. Unless, yeah, that I don't like. You want to upgrade this to 16. But definitely everything else is good. It's only got one HDMI port though, so that's not so good. So they had to cut some corners to get this stuff in here. So I guess if you don't care about the only one HDMI port and no other video output, this is a really nice system. The only thing that you would have to do is upgrade this to 16 gigs. So this is definitely a 4K system. Even though the RTX 2070 is not really meant for 4K gaming necessarily at 60 frames per second. You can do video editing though, 4K video editing. So this looks like it looks pretty much the same as mine. So it's not going to be too heavy. It's going to be nice looking. So this isn't a bad deal for $15.49. It's a little over budget there, but definitely not bad. Again, this RTX 2070 performs better than a GTX 1080. And you're getting a 4K screen, but I don't know why they didn't make it 17 inches. And definitely enough storage space to start off with. So yeah, this is definitely a good deal. If you can do without those other two things. But you have to upgrade this to 16. So what else do we have here? We have... so I guess if you need 4K resolution, you know, get the other one. But this is definitely a good deal. It's got a 6-core, 12-thread, RTX 2070, 16 gigs of memory. That's good. It's got 128 gigabyte SSD, which I don't particularly like. But that's good enough for Windows. Just don't install anything else on it. And it's got 1 terabyte hard drive. So that's good. So this right here is a good deal. This is a good, great gaming laptop right here. Or at least it should be. You know. So this is definitely a good price. $15.59. It's a lot of money, but you're getting a lot of bang here. A lot of features. I don't know what kind of ports it has. I imagine it's going to have the same as mine. Let me look here. Ports. So yeah, it's got one mini display port and one HDMI. So yeah, that's good. So you can hook your VR into that and still be able to hook out to another monitor. Or you can use these two to hook out to monitors. So not bad. And it's got the Bang & Olufsen with dual speakers, so it'll be loud enough. So that's not a bad deal if you have the money to spend. Yeah. I'd still try to get a warranty for this though. So that's a good deal. So this one I would recommend over this one. I mean, if you have to have 4K for some kind of reason on a 15-inch screen, this is a good deal, but this is a better deal. I don't know what this Cuck HP Omen is. Never heard of it. What is Cuck? Oh, Max Q. Yeah, see, Max Q. That's the power saver. Your battery will last a little bit longer, but this thing runs much slower. This, from what I heard online, I didn't test it myself, but this runs like a 2060. So you're going to lose some performance. But this does have the 144 Hertz IPS screen. So if you need that high refresh rate screen, fine, but you're only getting a 500 gig hard drive, so you're going to have to go out and spend more money on that. So again, what are you willing to trade off? I don't need 144 Hertz. So I would skip this and go with the other one. I would buy this one still. Yeah, all the other ones really are getting too expensive. Let me look at this again. I'm sorry. Yeah, this one's got the 2 hard drives, so yeah. I mean, for me, I would try to look for something that has 2 hard drives. Now, this one's got 1, but it's 1 terabyte, so that's okay. You know, you can always upgrade that too if you need to later. It may even have another... what kind of hard drive is this? Oh, so that's got a 1 terabyte SSD. No. Weird. Why does it say no? Doesn't tell you what kind of hard drive. But then up here it says no optical drive. So I'm a little confused here. So I'm thinking this is an SSD drive. But it doesn't really matter whether it is or isn't. It's at least you got a 1 terabyte drive. You might be able to put a second one in. You have to look. But this one only has the 8 gigs. So I would still say this is a better option if you don't need 4K. And get this one if you need 144, but you're going to be taking some losses here with the Max Q design and only a 500 gig hard drive. Yep, so that's it. So there you go. I don't know if you guys sat and watched all this and listened to all this and my opinions, but that's what I have to say about this based on this laptop that I have right here. I still think this is a good laptop, even to buy today. You know, it is getting a little dated with like Metro coming out and Resident Evil 2, which kind of work your video cards, but you know, if you play older games, you're not going to have any problems at all. You know, so it's still pretty functional, and I still think you're getting a lot of bang for your buck. So, you know, if you want a decent gaming laptop that's going to get the job done at decent settings, then $999 or less, this is definitely a good deal. Finally done. Anyway, thanks guys for watching, and gals. Love y'all. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. I hope this helps when you're going out to buy something. You know, I'm happy to share my knowledge. I know it takes a long time. I apologize, but, you know, I just want to put in my 2 cents, which sometimes turns into 1,000,000 cents. Alright guys, peace, and girls. When I say guys, I mean guys and girls, so don't get offended by that, you know. It's not really anything that's meant to be offensive. It's just a figure of speech, you know. I believe in Adam and Eve, so I believe all women came from Adam. So that's just me. And, you know, of course, if you look at the whole chromosome situation, look at the men, you know. So they got genes from both. So yeah, chromosomes from both, I guess. But that's besides the point. Anyway, thanks everybody. Bye. Peace.